Hi, I'm Bryan Gatling. For those of you that don't know me, I'm a black man in America, and I'm going to share a little bit about myself. So, I've been volunteering. I'm still currently volunteering. I've been volunteering for years now. Everything from ministries in church to coaching football for youth, even prepping youth for advancing education, getting prepared for college. And I've also been an active employee for the same company for 15 years now. I'm also here to share with you my experiences dealing with law enforcement as a black man in America. So, on several occasions, I have been stopped as a pedestrian just because I was in a neighborhood that I didn't seem to belong to, and I was told I fit the description of someone that was involved in criminal activity. I've also been pulled over in New York on a few occasions just because they wanted to stop and frisk us. I've also been stopped going into a house that I was living in at the time just because they didn't know who I was. So, but I'm about to share with you one of the biggest stories, and probably one that kind of touches home with what's going on today. So when I was a teenager, probably around 17 or 18, was coming home from a friend's house. I was going across the main street, and I happened to see my friends across the street who I've known in the neighborhood for several years. At the time, I walked across to go see them, and they saw me. We talked for a little bit. We talked for about 5-10 minutes before I see a police cruiser go by. And at first, nothing really seemed out of the ordinary because I was on the main road. But then what made me catch the eye was when the police cruiser turned around in the middle of the street. And, me and my friend looked at it very weirdly, and we were joking about, oh, what did you do? Or, I was joking to him, like, what did you do? And again, just to be on par, this is a white couple I was talking to. So, and we've known each other for several years. So the cop comes back down, and he gets out of his cop car, and and this is the weirdest part of it all, like the irony of it all. He's like, I need y'all to remain calm. And we're like, fine. And then he draws his gun and yells out, get down on the ground. And I'm standing right next to my friend, and we're like, who are you talking to? And he's like, you in the red. And of course I'm the one he's signaling out. And I'm like, I'm in shock. Like, first off, there's a gun being pointed at me, which never has happened before. So that shocked me in the first place. So I'm like, you know what? I recatch myself. I slowly go to the ground. At that point, I noticed a couple other cop cars come pulling up. And the nerve-wracking part was they all kind of got out their cars, and they also had their guns drawn. They come running up to me, and four of them like kind of jump on me, like pinning my legs and my arms and stuff down to the ground. The original officer that came there comes. He puts me in handcuffs, so he's detained me at this point. And through all this, my friends, this couple is like yelling. They're like, why are y'all doing that? Y'all don't need to be on him like that. This, that, and the other. And so I'm like, don't worry about it. Just chill. I'm trying to remain calm. They're acting outraged, and I don't want them to agitate any more than what is going on. So I'm still kind of pinned down, but they start to get off me, and as they're getting off me, I notice that more cops have shown up. And in that time, they finally sit me up. I was down on my belly, and they kind of roll me over, sit me up. And by that time, I noticed that there's like 11 cop cars around me, including a dog unit. And then at that point, like, I've noticed that people are calming down. They're still walking a little bit with guns drawn, but they're not trained on me at that point. So I asked the cop, I'm like, what's going on? Why am I in handcuffs right now? And he's like, well, we got a report of a black man robbing a white couple. And to me, I still couldn't believe what was going on. I'm like, and he's like, he's telling me this, and my friend yells at him. He's like, we've known this guy for years. He's a friend of ours in the neighborhood. We talked to him, this, that, and the other. We were just talking. We've been here for a while. And I'm still kind of shooken up, because again, things like this hasn't happened to me. And I didn't think it was something that could happen to me, because I wasn't the one to know to be in trouble. And that's my point, is that this whole situation hits home with me, because I was pinned down the same way George Floyd was pinned down. I had guns pointed at me. I was in such a state of shock. Like, who knows how far that could have actually gone. So I've also been on another side of that situation, where being a person who has concern for a family member who was detained. Again, when I was younger, probably outside of my teens at that point, I had a family member who was picked up by police, but I was at home at that time, and that family member didn't show up for 3 days. And at the time, first day, we were just like, oh, maybe he messed up. But when you start calling them and you don't hear nothing, it starts to make your heart drop, where you are scared that that person might have died. And nobody has seen them. That person was with another person in New York. And, that person didn't see them after they left, and we couldn't get a hold of them. And it was me and other family members, and we were scared. Come to find out, he was detained for 3 days, and I remember having the conversation with this family member about how they felt, and in reaction, it made me feel some type of way. Like, and this is not too far after my first situation that I explained to you. So, and the craziest issue of all this is that that person was picked up out of mistaken identity. So they were picked up, detained for 3 days without processing, not being able to get in contact with their family, and now us having to worry whether they were even alive or not, all because of mistaken identity. So I'm telling you all my experiences that I've had to let you know why, at least to me, Black Lives Matter. And I'm not saying this to say that my life or any Black life is more valuable than anybody living in America, but that my life, along with other Black lives, should matter in America. We should be just as valuable as any person, man, woman, whatever living in America. We want to be treated equally. And that's why my experiences, I feel, are important to share for you. I know that I'm going to, at some point, have to have a tough conversation with my son about how he should act and react when being pulled over by police. And I want for this whole situation to get us to a point where Black people don't have to have that conversation with their kids about how to act and react. Like, it shouldn't be a whole different conversation than anybody else. I'm very happy that I got to share my experiences with you, and I'm happy, and I thank anybody who's been supporting their Black community during this whole epidemic.